tutorial. Oops, I have the wrong guy open here. I'm going to show you how to run the generative AI called WizardLM2 7B model in Alpaca Ollama client. Before we begin, quick reminder that every day I host a live stream. It's available on ojambo.com. As you saw, just go to the watch menu, live sub menu. You can pick the topics, and you're free to join the live chat and post anything about programming or lifestyle topics. And of course, the live stream is usually around 2 p.m. Eastern, and you simply just go there and click on the link. It'll take you right to the live stream. If you don't want to do that, you can simply watch the video, or the video is also embedded on this article. And also be sure to subscribe, like, follow, and leave comments for more frequent content. I'd like to thank everybody who subscribed so far this month. Keep it up. It motivates me to keep on making tutorials just like this one, especially since we're still dealing with a drought here in southern Ontario. Okay, so basically, as you can see in the left part of the screen there, I have the Alpaca, which is the Ollama client, and basically obviously I'm running on Fedora Linux, so that's why I'm using this client, but you can use any client you want. You don't have to use this one, but I prefer using this one because it's just an easy way. It does things so much easier than any other client. So for example, if we go to this GitHub repository here, you see it's github.com/jeffsir/alpaca, and you can see here the code if you want to compile it yourself. So you can also get it from the compiled version from FlatHub. That's how I installed it from my software application. So as you can see here, it does say it's not affiliated with Ollama. Of course, that's why I said it's an Ollama client. And there's also the known code of conduct. Obviously, I'm not about coding. So you can go read about all the features it has here. Oh, I didn't realize it has this YouTube recognition. Ask a question about a YouTube video using. Oh, okay. I'm not going to try that in today's tutorial, but maybe we'll try that in a future one. Website recognition. That's interesting. And oh, okay. Okay, I didn't know it had all these features. So there we go. So there's even image recognition. Ah, okay. So I guess all the features are coming. So it looks like this was going to be the end of this Alpaca client usage for AI, but it looks like I can do some more stuff in the future. So what I'll do is I'll expand the questions in the future tutorials. It's going to be a while because in the next tutorial about AI, I'm going to do more training as well, but we can come back to this, test this in the future. Okay, so let's go back to the article here. So so obviously, as I said, most of these AI models are usually they use Python. So Python is usually a dependency. So clearly, I'm on like I said, I'm on Linux. Python, especially desktop, Python is usually installed by default. I don't need to install that, but if you're on any other system, or maybe your own distro, you don't have Python installed, make sure you have it will be one of the dependencies. Okay, and as we touched on, it's open source. Well, let me see what license it uses. I didn't even bother here. So here in GitHub, it should tell you the license. Here we go. So it's under Alpaca itself is released under the GPL 3.0 license. I believe I did a review of a general public license. Yeah, the GNU public licenses. Yeah, I did a review of those. Okay, so with that said, the WizardLM2 7B, that one is released under the Apache license 2.0. I can't remember if I did I did the MIT license, the GNU license. I guess I haven't done the Apache license. Okay, maybe that for a future one. I'll take a look. I did a public domains, yeah. So maybe I'll take a look at the Apache license. I thought I did. Okay, so it's a permissive license, open source license, meaning commercial use is allowed. modification distribution is allowed. Patent use, it's granted under the Apache 2.0 terms. The only conditions are that you must include the Apache 2.0 license text in any distribution. You must clearly state that if you modify the model or code, you must retain a copyright and attribution notices. There's no warranties provided as is without liability. So what that basically means is that you can take this model and obviously train it, and and obviously if you want to release it, if you do release it to the public, you need to let them know that obviously you have made modifications to the model. So for my particular use cases in today's screencast, we're not doing training. I said in the next one we'll go back to doing some training. I think you guys will like the next one. This one is this one is more fun one. It's just a review of the model itself. We'll take a look at the screencast, the screenshots later. Basically, this is the default view when you open up the Alpaca application. So what you do is in the menu here, you see you can import and export the chat. You can manage instances. So right now there's only one instance. You see it's the Ollama, it's managed. So you can click edit. You can modify some of this. You see by default it uses the default port, which is 11435, and then you can change those like thought processing, the share name, temperature, seed, and some of the overrides. So as you can see here, I do have a NVIDIA graphics card, although it's a little bit old. It will try to use it, but it only has 2 gigs of VRAM, so it'll run out pretty quick. And you see the default model right now is the WizardLM2 7B. So that 7B stands for the perimeter size. So that's 7 billion. So that one is that is way too big for my VRAM. So I said I only have 2. So it's gonna most likely be a little bit slow, because then it will try to use my my regular RAM. I do have 16 gigs of RAM, so it will be slow. And the other problem also with this is that I'm also using OBS. So OBS is obviously going to be using my CUDA cores for the streaming, because this is live. So that will be fun. Okay, so what you do is go back to the menu. You see manage models. So under manage models, you can go to available, and then you can pick whatever model you want. You can install multiple models, so you can have multiple models at the same time. So what I do is let's go back to manage models, and I don't want to click the added. When I click the added, it would see it tells us here it's going to use the default voice, but you can change the voices, like you use Hart, Ali, Alde, Bella, Jessica, Core, Nicole, Nova, River, and lots more. I'm not interested in the voice. I'm more interested in the what voice means is that when you request a question, you can speak to the LLM, the model, and then the model will reply to you obviously in the spoken language. But I said I am more interested in how accurate it is. I don't really care if the voice is not useful for me in this particular case. Now if I was outside or something, yeah, then it would be more useful, but here it's not. And you can see it's a 7B. It's part of the Ollama family. I believe this is by if I'm correct, I believe that's Meta, the Facebook guys. And you see the parameter size, I was saying 7B. The quantization level is Q4_0. The reason for that is because if it wasn't, I would never be able to run this. And you see when it was modified, and some context. The context says a chat between a curious user and an artificial intelligence assistant. The assistant gives helpful, detailed, and polite answers to the user's questions. You can also do multilingual. I'm not interested in that. English is just fine for me right now. Of course, I can delete it and add another one, but that's fine. Okay, with that said, let's go back to the main one here and let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to ask it who the mayor of Toronto is. So I want to be consistent. So I'll just copy and paste the question here. And the question is, who is the mayor of Toronto? So I'll tell you what's happening right now. You guys can't see this, but my I guess the hard drive or the SSD drive, it's red, and that's because most likely okay, there we go, the fan just kicked in. I don't know if that's the GPU or the CPU, so that means it's really working. I think what happened was it hit the limit of the GPU, so the fan started spinning there, then it's trying to switch over to the CPU, so it's thinking. This is why most of this AI do use the GPUs, because they need that grunt for the thinking part. Okay, so as you can see, I don't know why it's not typing, but it's on the left pane it says meet John Tory, the current mayor of Toronto. So that's clearly wrong. I'm not going to stop it yet. You see the red button, the button here is still thinking. Okay, so it finally started writing. So if some of you guys are new, I want to explain why I asked this question. So during the lockdown, the mayor of Toronto at that time, his name was John Tory. What he did was he came up with this brilliant idea, the usual, you have to 6 feet apart, you can't see your family, you're only allowed out 1 hour a day to either go grocery shopping or do your exercise. So this hypocrite, while he didn't allow us to go, do business, visit family, friends, whatever, he was spending time with his alleged mistress. You know what I mean? So when this was found out, it was so egregious that he actually resigned, and he thought people would feel sorry for him. Nobody cared, rightly so. So the thing is, the AI was being what's the word I'm looking for? Overhyped during that phase. So I thought, hey, you know what? If the AI is so smart, why not ask it who the mayor of Toronto is? Because at that time the mayor had resigned. So the correct answer was Toronto does not have a mayor. Obviously, it's been a while. This is now almost I don't know, like 3 years ago or so. So obviously, he resigned. They elected a new person as a mayor. So what I found interesting about that, when I still ask this question, is that it gives the wrong answer. So that tells me something very interesting, that most of these AIs, they basically, I guess, they stopped taking information around 2023. That's why you see all of them give basically almost the same answer. There's another reason for that. For example, one of the reasons is because they usually use small models like this one, or actually even smaller ones, to train the bigger models. So I'll read the answer. So the answer says, as of my last update in early 2023, the mayor of Toronto is John Tory. He has been serving as mayor since December 1, 2014, having been re-elected for a third term on October 24, 2022. Political roles can change, and so for the most current information, it's always best to verify with the latest news sources or official announcements from the city of Toronto. So that is actually not a bad answer. But it's still a fail. So clearly, as I said, the mayor of Toronto is Olivia Chow, so that's a fail. But the answer is pretty good, because it clearly says that its information is only up to 2023. So this is not a trick. I mean, it was a trick question before, but it's no longer a trick question. But this question is very revealing, because the answer, not the question. The answer is very revealing, because it tells us that this AI hasn't been updated since early 2023. Okay, with that said, let me go on to the next request. So I'm going to delete this. Obviously, you can, if you right click, you can duplicate, you can export. I'm just going to delete it. The answer is wrong anyway. I don't need it. So my next request is, I need a PHP code snippet to connect to my SQL database. So, because I'm a programmer, now I know how to do this, but I just wanted to test how, what type of code and the quality that the AI will produce. Surprisingly, I've been the so-called AIs that are code specific, the various failed this question, and the ones which are not, and even smaller, they actually got it right, which really surprised me. So we'll wait for this one. Nothing's happening so far because I can hear the GPU fan is off, and it's not making noise, and the lights of the SSD are off too. So nothing's happening yet. I guess it's just queuing it up. All right. Oh, okay, there we go. The SSD light is now red, so I'm guessing it's not even bothering using the GPU. So I'm guessing this question is going to take a while to answer. Okay, we'll just wait for it. Okay. I don't expect a good answer, but one thing that's interesting, I've noticed sometimes when I ask this question, the first time it's wrong, and the second time is actually accurate. So, oh, it's using something different from before. It's going to use the data object. It sounds like it could actually be correct. I might have to eat my words. Then why is it saying? Okay, so it's saying. Okay, I'll read. Okay, you know what? I'll read part of the answer. It's still writing the answer, but I'll read part of the answer. So it says, certainly, to connect to a MySQL database using PHP, you can use the MySQL improved extension or the PHP data object. Below are 2 examples of how to establish a connection with both methods. Okay, that's a very different answer than what it gave before. So I have a screenshot here. As you can see, the answer it gave before, it just gave text. He didn't even give any code. So this time it's actually giving code, and the code actually does look correct. Yeah, the first part of using the MySQL improved extension is actually correct. Okay, there we go. Oh, no, I'm wrong. I'm not. Oh, okay. So I might have to change my mind. So I'll explain. Okay, I'll explain what happened. So when it was typing it, it had the correct syntax. You know, in PHP you have the $ for variable. It had the correct syntax, but when it finished the typing for the first the MySQL improved extension, it actually then clipped off the $. So that is clearly wrong. So I'm not even going to bother running that. It's not going to work. However, I'm going to copy it into a text editor and to see maybe it's just a styling issue. Hopefully the $ is still there. Now the one where it's using the I think it's conflicting things, so I won't say anything until it's done. Okay, so I don't know what it's doing here. I think it's getting confused. Okay, looks like it's getting confused. I do not know what it's doing. Okay, I think okay, so there you go again. You saw when it was typing this one with the MySQL, oh, that's the procedure. So it was doing the procedure method and the other method for the MySQL improve. Both of them did have the $, and then all of a sudden the $ just disappeared. I don't know if it's a styling issue. Now it's doing the data object, PHP data object. So it does have the $, where it's writing it out. Hopefully it doesn't get clipped off again. Because I don't know if that's I don't know if I should word it as a fail, because it looks like it is giving the correct answer, but maybe this Ollama client is the one clipping off in its styling. So then in that case, the problem is not actually with the LLM. The problem is probably with the Ollama client. Okay, so, but I said I'll copy the code when it's finished, just to make sure that maybe it's just a styling issue, then it has the proper syntax. Okay, so it's still going, and so this is one of the reasons why you need lots of RAM, and especially a GPU with a decent amount of VRAM as well. You see, because it's going to be slow. It's going to be slow, especially if it's an open source one like this one. It's going to be slow because they're not optimized. I'm guessing the optimized ones have some proprietary algorithms or something to speed them up. Okay, this is done. Not quite. There we go. Yeah, see the $sign. Okay, I don't know what this is here. So this messed up as well. So I think I'll just let it finish, and then I'll just copy. I'll just copy it into a text editor. Hopefully it shows up the $signs. Then that way that'll be a fair. Oh, you know what I'll do? When it finishes, I think what I'll do, I'll export it, and I'll show you what it actually looks like when you export it. It'll just be a text file. So that way, maybe that will be more fair. I'll just export it. So now it's saying remember to replace localhost username, password, and DB name with your actual database host username, password, and database name. So I think, to be fair, this one is actually a pass, but I think it's the Ollama client that's stripping out the $sign, because I did see it when it was doing a preview. So I'm guessing that's a bug, and I should probably let the author of Ollama, Alpaca, know about that, because the problem is not with the LLM, the problem is with the client. Okay, so it's done, as you can see. So what I'm going to do is just right click here, and you see export chat. So I'm going to export that chat. What is it? Is it a text, a markdown? So I'm going to export it as a markdown, and I'll put it into my actually I do have a specific folder here, tutorial, generative AI. Here we go, and here we go. So I'm going to save it there, and I'll open it up. I'll show you guys when we're running the next. I'm going to delete this chat. So I'm going to ask the next request. Okay, the next request is running. I'll talk about that later. So what I want to do is I want to open up. I want to show you guys here. You see it saved it as PHP space MySQL space connection space code space, and then a snippet. I guess it was part of my question, and then .md. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this up with just the GNOME text editor, and here it is. So yeah, so I was right. I can zoom in more. So as you can see, yeah. So the problem is not with the. You see the problem here. For example, this should have a $sign. Oops, a $sign. It should be host. So the fact that it doesn't have that tells me that it's being clipped out most likely by the Ollama client itself. And you can see it says my initial request was I need a PHP code snippet to connect to a MySQL database, and then it output it, and then here this is the PHP part, but you see the problem is this is wrong, this will not work. And then it did it the other way as well, but problem is not going to work because every variable needs to have a $sign, so that's a fail. And then PDO is actually wrong. I don't even have to run that. Okay, so the code is incorrect. Now I said the problem is most likely with the client. So with that said, so I showed you guys, and then obviously you can import that into here. Okay, so let me just delete this. This not needed. Discard. Okay. My next request was, I need a 1080p screenshot of the GNOME desktop environment. Again, I'm running Linux, I'm running Fedora. I'm using Fedora Workstation. The default is the GNOME desktop environment. So I asked for a screenshot. Now this question is not meant to be tricky. It's supposed to be straightforward. So what I was hoping for is the answer should be no. I cannot generate a screenshot for you because I'm a text-based, it's just an AI chatbot. That's the answer I was expecting. All it would say, okay, I found something on the web or on this site. Some chatbots used to answer that way, which is also fine, except if the URL no longer works, it will be a fail. But what I've found about this question as well, that's why I've left this question and the mayor one, is that the answers are way too elaborate instead of just being simple and straight to the point. I believe I used to pass this question used to pass if an AI says, sorry, I can't generate, I'm an AI chatbot, I'm a text-based chatbot. But as you can see here, it gives a bunch of stuff, and all of this are wrong. I'm not gonna read all of it unless it takes too long, but I'll start reading the first paragraph. The first paragraph says, as an AI text-based assistant, I can't directly take or provide screenshots. So that's perfect. That's what the answer should be. Boom, you get a perfect score right there. But I can guide you through the process of capturing a 1080p screenshot of the GNOME desktop environment on your own system. So this is where things get dicey. First of all, how does it know that I'm running a GNOME desktop environment? It doesn't. I never said I was running one, right? I could be running KDE, or maybe I'm running Windows or something else. I never said that. Or the Mac OS, or maybe even Android or something else. Then it says TDM, Toolkit for Desktop Meta Workers, provides a tool called GNOME Screenshot that is specifically designed to capture the screen or selected area within the GNOME desktop environment. Here's how you can use it. Open the GNOME Screenshot application by searching for it in your... Okay. So as I said, I'm not going to read all this stuff because here's why. Here's the problem. What if, again, I'm not using the GNOME desktop environment? I'm not going to like run it on a virtual machine or something just so I can take a picture of it. All I said was, so I'm guessing that question has now become a a tricky question. So I'm not even sure if any of this works because I don't even know what TDM stands for, the Toolkit for Desktop Meta Workers. This one could be an old answer, it could be a new answer. It doesn't know what version of GNOME I'm using. I could be using a very old version of GNOME, or I could be using the latest version, which I am, latest stable release. So with that said, I'm going to fail this, although yeah, this might be correct, but it should just have stopped at it cannot take one, and it should have asked me, do you want me to guide you through the process? That would have been a better answer. Okay, but let's move on. So I'm going to delete this chat, and then I'm going to grab one, and this is one that has never even come close to passing. So this request is, I need a Kotlin code snippet to open the camera using Camera 2 API and place the camera view on a texture view. So I'll tell you why I asked this question. This question is not a trick question. I have been using Java for not just Android programming but desktop applications since Java was in the alpha stages, like long time ago. So I'm talking like the 90s. So obviously I'm more comfortable in Java, even though there are some issues with Java. Anyways, the point is, I wanted to see what I know how to do this in Java, is what I'm saying. So I wanted to see, okay, if I'm able to do this in Java, I want to see some code that does the same thing in Kotlin. So what I've noticed about this particular request is that most of the, actually not most, all of the code that AIs have generated is usually very old. And when I say very old, I'm talking like some of them was in the alpha, when Kotlin was in the alpha stages. So that was really weird, and none of it ever worked. Like, I'm not even just talking about the incomplete code. I'm talking even the code that was looked like it was somewhat might work. It never worked because of the imports. Or if it told me what imports they no longer existed, or they were not just deprecated but they were abandoned. For example, some of the alpha things it wanted to install, those were clearly abandoned. So I was never able to replicate that, and I didn't want to. So I basically, this is one where I already know it's going to fail, but surprisingly it's writing the code and the GPU fan is not running. So I'm guessing the GPU is full with OBS. And yeah, so this is the funny part. You see, it's showing the dependencies. So if you're using Android Studio, the latest version or the latest versions, you no longer need to do this. This part, add the dependencies yourself, because it will automatically add them for you when you do the imports. And as you can tell, man, I didn't even realize it's going to do this. You see, the first dependency is the Android x.camera.lifecycle.0.9.1, then hyphen alpha 24. Isn't that funny how I was just saying that it's using a bunch of alpha stuff, and surprise, surprise, a bunch of alpha stuff. So in case you don't know, none of that stuff will work. Why? Because I tried it in the past. It's not going to work. Another, if you guys have seen, I never shared them. I should have shared some of those fails videos. Maybe I should have a new playlist, just call it fails. So basically, yeah, this code is not just ancient, but it will not work, because you won't be able to download those alpha stuff. Remember, those are alpha stuff, so they look how many alpha dependencies it wants. So clearly it's not going to work. Another thing, if you guys can tell, is the syntax. Kotlin doesn't use that syntax anymore. Can you guys pick that up? So you guys are learning coding, even though this is not a coding tutorial specifically for coding, but there you go. So that syntax doesn't work anymore, at least with the latest version of Android Studio. If you get a really old version, but yeah, that but even then, I don't know what type of application you make, because you need to update it. Yeah, so this is bad code. Now the imports look okay, but another, so when I'm referring to the imports, I'm talking about here in the actual Kotlin file. See what it says, like import Android manifest, import content, Android content.context. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11. There's 11 of them. If you ever done any programming in Java, you know that, especially Android, you know that there is no way you can make an application and only have like 11 imports. So that's a major fail, and I mean major fail right there. So I should just stop this, but let's I'll let it continue. It's gonna be a little bit slow, so I'll just let it continue. You know what I'll do, when it finally finishes, I think I'll go and review it, and I'll save the chat. You can tell it's doing something, because you see this is spinning here and this button is red. That means it's like for stopping. So if it goes on too long, I might get bored. It's actually getting hot again. Almost fainted yesterday, so I'm sweating already. So this is another reason why having a GPU or a more optimized LLM would speed things up a little bit. If you remember, when I was running this in the past, I was able to run like 14B models, because those were optimized. Obviously those were not fully open source, but this one is 7B, so it's like half the size, but you can see it's much slower. And I was doing all those on live stream as well, so it's not like something changed, unless the Ollama client is now using more VRAM, and same with OBS. Not sure. Okay, there's a lot of code here, but it's useless. It's ancient code. And the funny thing about this is I actually had to resolve this myself. The trick was very simple. I basically just took my Java code and went to what do you call it? Yeah, in Android Studio. Then it converted to Kotlin code, and then I reviewed it. And then there was still a few things I had to manually change, which I did. And yeah, so it works because you can still use Java code in Kotlin as well. So that made it easier. And I think I did finally, in another tutorial, finally just use pure Kotlin code. After obviously I said it helped me understand how things do work. But this is one of the problems with AI. You see, when you rely on AI code, it gives you a bunch of wrong information and ancient code sometimes, and then you think that if the code miraculously works, you think that's the proper way to write code when it's not. So for example, you noticed how right in the beginning I pointed out that those dependencies are not going to work, because that's not the way you put dependencies in current versions of in Android Studio or the Gradle files. That would not work. It will give you a bunch of errors. And then the other thing you can notice, they're all alpha. So that's another red flag. So what I'm pointing at is that this code is ancient code, like very, very old code. The way it's written, you need to tweak it. You need to spend several hours to tweak it to make it work. But you're better off literally just maybe just getting someone like me tutor you, or just look at some at some tutorials online, some articles like I have. You know what? Well, this video is going to take forever. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to open up a new tab. I'm going to search for the Kotlin code. Just so I will say Kotlin, and it's something like camera on Django.com. You see here I have a bunch of Kotlin code on how to upload, and let me see the simplest one. Let's see. Yeah, Kandra, I think what date is this one? 04. Yeah, so let's look at this one. So I have the code here. This is to open the camera and to preview to preview. So let's look at open camera. You see I have all the code here, and to preview the camera I have it all here. Nice and simple, and I have the screenshots. Now one thing you will notice is remember I said I want to put this on the texture view. Have you noticed that in none of these? Okay, let's start up here first. Have you noticed nothing about the texture view at all? Okay, I know you're going to say, hey, maybe it dynamically creates the texture view. Okay, sure, but have you seen texture view anywhere here? Okay, so what it's doing here, it looks like it's going to save the image, and like I said, this is the old way of doing things, and that's not what I requested. I clearly said I want the image to be put on the texture view. So this is how you do it. See the preview camera. This is the code I basically requested right here. See, this is the code I requested. This is it right here. It's what, 34 lines? 34 lines. It's doing all this stuff. None of it is for the texture view. None, and I mean nothing. So we can go back and let's pick another one. This one saves the photo. This one does. Okay, so let's go to this one, save photo. I think this one might have the entire code. I'm not too sure. So let's check it out. Take a photo. So look at that. This one takes a photo. So okay, so it's done. So I'm just gonna, let me close this out. So I do have all the code on Django.com. You can just simply go check it out. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna, oh, it's not quite done, finished yet, but okay. So I want to save this. I'll get the next next request. So okay, this is so taking so long, but it's basically a fail. I'll copy this. So it doesn't even tell you how to set up this code, but I said like just the dependencies, nothing about the texture view, which is super weird. Yeah, so, oh, sorry, I was wrong. Okay, I was wrong. Oh, it says here's a complete code that demonstrates how to open the camera and place the camera feed on a texture view using Camera 2 API. Yet nowhere in the code did it actually mention the texture view. That is hilarious. That is super hilarious. So it looks like it wants to put it in a tag. That's not what that wasn't my request. My request was the texture view. This is pretty funny. It didn't do what I wanted, but it claims it's doing what I wanted. Right here, texture view. Okay, so it's done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this. I'm going to export this. I'm going to export it as a markdown file, so we can take a look at it. Yeah, opening camera. Then I'll delete this, and that way I can ask it about the Blender one. We'll come back to that in a few seconds. All right. So if you notice, I don't have a screenshot for the Blender one. The reason I don't have a one is because I believe it just timed out or just crashed or something, but the answer was wrong anyway, so there's no need. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up this opening the camera one so we can take a look at the code. There's no need for me to run this in Android Studio because it's just wrong. I'm not going to waste my time loading it up. So I'll zoom in here a little bit so we can take a look at the code. So this is what I was trying to say right here. The first problem is the dependencies. You see the dependencies, it says implementation space, then it puts them in single quotes. As I just said, this is the old way of implementing dependencies in the Gradle file. This will not work. And I said all of them, you see, they're all alpha. They're all alpha, they're legacy, alpha, alpha, alpha. So that is obviously wrong because this is now stable. So these are old and they will not work. And then the other problem here is our imports. There's 11 imports. I don't even need to look at the rest of the code after that one, but for this 11 imports, I know this is wrong. There's no way when you has anybody ever created an Android application and you only have like 11 imports? Seriously? I mean, unless maybe you do a hello world, maybe, but this is like a complex thing where I'm getting camera. So for example, look at the services, right? The service is not even here. It's crazy. Now I know some people are going to whine and say, but look, it's getting all the camera. See, it's getting camera.core. The asterisk, meaning it's going to grab everything in the camera core. Okay, fair enough. But I can probably grab something else in here where just going down where it's not going to be in that camera core. So you see, this is the code, and then it's done. And I said none of this. And I mean none. If you think I'm joking, I'll actually, here, texture view, I'll actually do a find and replace. So texture view there. See, texture view. Actually, You see, it's in this legacy support text review. Text review, there we go. In anywhere in the code, oh, I was wrong here. Text review dot surface provider object override text review. Okay, fair enough. But the text review needs to be imported here. It's not there, and that's the last time it's mentioned anywhere. So that's why I said I know that's not going to work. Okay, so I'm going to read the little paragraph at the end. It says, in this example, we're using the process camera provider from Camera X, which is a library that simplifies the Camera 2 API. If you prefer to use the Camera 2 API directly, you need to manage the camera manager, camera device, and surface texture and other components manually. The above code should work for most use cases and requires fewer lines of code compared to using the Camera 2 API directly. Make sure to handle runtime permissions properly and consider the best approach for your application's target API level and specific requirements. Remember that Android 10 API level 29 onwards, scoped storage is mandatory for accessing the camera. So you need to set up the media storage access accordingly. So that gives us a little hint that Android 10 and API level 29. I don't even know how old that is. That's I'm not going to bother checking. I'm guessing that's probably going to be pretty close to. Actually, you know what? I'm curious. How old is what is Android 10? Let's find out how old Android 10 is. What year did that come out? 2019. That is like 6 years ago. Yeah, so in terms of programming, that's clearly pretty ancient. Okay, and this code is actually older than that. So there we go. So that code here. So this is the code I'm talking about here. Yeah, that's I'm done with that. Okay. So the next request was I need a Blender blend file for fire animation. Of course, I also have one here on you can go to jambo.com. I already did this. I think it was one of my I think I just had Blender fire, something like that, or fire animation. Here we go. See, I did create one using the Blender Python API. So in case you're wondering, this answer gave me is a fail. I I don't even need to run it. So, but just for giggles, let's actually read it. We can start reading. It says, creating a complete fire animation involves several steps, including modeling, texturing, simulating, and animating the fire object. Blender is a powerful tool that can handle all of these tasks. However, creating a high-quality fire animation from scratch is quite an advanced task and requires a good understanding of Blender's features. For those who are new to Blender or looking for starting point, I'll guide you through the process to provide a basic setup. For more advanced users, if you give a general approach, I can give a general approach to creating a fire animation. Okay, why didn't they ask me to then say yes? Go ahead. It says start with a basic object, texture and color, particle system, simulation, animation, lighting. Okay, so and compositing. So the problem with this is, you guys might not already notice it, but I do. I use the latest version of Blender. For example, right now at the time of this recording, I'm using Blender 4.5 LTS version. The problem with this answer is that it's based on an older version of Blender, and some of the things have changed. So for example, it says smoke domain. This is the old way of doing things. Nowadays, you just use the quick smoke effect. So little things like that, and yeah. However, it's actually not a bad answer. If it specified the Blender version, that would be better. Then that would be a better answer. But with that said, I am getting hot here, and I'm not going to bother reading the rest. So I'm just going to tag that as a fail, and I'll just go finish up here. So let's go back to the article and finish up this tutorial. So I do have the live stream here. If I play this, you'll see it's actually live. You can see this is just the actually Blender answer, and it's actually finished right now. And then, as you can see the results, I'm gonna leave the results out there. Basically, every single request is a fail. The Mayor of Toronto, the PHP code snippet, 1080p screenshot, Kotlin code, and the Blender blend file, complete fail. So 0 out of 5. If you want to learn more about Python, if you're new to Python and want to build the skills needed to work with LLMs and APIs, check out my book and course. The book is called Learning Python. It's available on Amazon. You can search for Edward Ojambo. Links are also in the description. And the course is also called Learning Python. It's available on ojamboshop.com, and the links are also in the description. If you need help, I get one-on-one Python tutoring or LLM installation. If you like help getting started, I offer one-on-one Python tutorials at ojambo.com, where you can book a session. Or if you need installation or migration of WizardLM2 7B, you can request a service at ojamboservices.com/contact. Whether you're learning to code or setting up your first LLM, I'm here to help. If you have any questions or want to see a specific demo, leave a comment below or reach out through the contact links above. With that said, quick reminder that I do a live stream every single day, usually about 2 p.m. Eastern. Just go to ojambo.com, go to the watch menu, and then live submenu. You can see the topics for this and future live streams. Also, be sure to subscribe, like, follow, and leave comments for more frequent content. I'd like to thank everybody who subscribed so far this month. Keep it up. It motivates me to keep on making content like this, even during a drought like the one we're having so far in Southern Ontario, 2025. And also, that said, I'm going to check the live stream. I don't see any chat requests, so I'm going to end this live stream now.